The Giant resurgence, dissecting the Devers deal, and the 2026 schedule is out. Plus, injury updates. It's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Alan Stiles. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area. I also host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140. You can check that out. I live in Sacramento now, the Alan Stiles Show, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team that I've been a fan of all my life. It's time to discuss if the mojo has returned for the Giants, revisiting the Devers trade, injury updates, as well as the schedule release. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. The Giant resurgence. Has the mojo returned for the San Francisco Giants? Beating the Cubs for their third straight win, the Giants seem to have bested the boogeyman that really appeared after the All-Star break, but got even bigger and badder about 3 weeks ago. They didn't back down. They weren't self-loathing. They picked themselves up by their bootstraps time and time again. Just like against the Brewers, there were multiple times where they could have said, hey, we're going to roll over just like we've rolled over before, and that's what we're used to doing. But they did it. When the Cubs went up 2-1 in the fifth, I know I wasn't the only one thinking, here we go again. But they string together not one, but two-out knocks to take the lead back, and they look like a completely different baseball team. Now, I want to get into what Justin Verlander did, and we're about to do that. I did want to say, do not move. In about 2-3 minutes here, a lot of people have been asking me about Bob Melvin. And Alan, what if they win too much? Is that going to affect how Bob Melvin is concerned? I spoke with someone yesterday, and I have an update for you in that regard, okay? So we will get to that in a second. Verlander continues his every other good starting performance based on the schedule. He was due for a good start, and that's what he gave the Giants, good enough for his first win at Oracle. And you got to feel good for him having something to show after some of these solid starts. You know, he hasn't been great every single game, but even in some of the games where he has looked good, it hasn't worked out for him. But in this situation, it did. It looks like he is the guy that is a 42-year-old future Hall of Famer, but he's got some tricks left, not all of them. You know, he's going to strike out people because that's in his DNA, but he's going to give up hits. Right at this stage in his career, he is a bend, don't break pitcher. And even if he does break at times, honestly, I think at this point in the season, it's not terrible for the Giants, right? You can't give up 6 and 7 spots, don't get me wrong, but this is the reality of how most pitchers are, right? There's a reason Prime Verlander was the best in the league and one of the best pitchers that we've ever seen, because he wasn't normal. Normally, you got to score some runs to win. In this day and age, you got to put up 5 runs, 6 runs, at least 4 runs to consistently win baseball games. You know, the Giants at some point, they can come off, not them as players, but the way they play, it's almost spoiled, right? And every pitcher can only give up 1 run, or every pitcher has to throw a shutout. And that's just not the reality. That's not the reality. And with all that being said, with the Gatorade shower on Chapman and all of that, you look at the standings and the Giants somehow lost a game. Or at the very least, they did not gain a game because the Mets won on a walk-off last night. The Giants are still 7 games back. The Mets do have 4 of their last 5 games against the Phillies in Philly, where they've struggled. But like I said, yesterday, I'm not giving a lot of attention to the wild card right now. It's not to sound negative. The reality is they're going to need help. They have to win games, and they're going to need help. That's a tough combination with about 30 games left in the season. So that's where they're at right now. All right. As far as Bob Melvin is concerned, because I told you I would speak to that, there have been, and I've been in this camp too, right? That option that Buster Posey and the Giants picked up for Bob Melvin had a lot of people talking, a lot of people worried about whether or not Bob Melvin would be back. And I'm here to tell you right now that from what I've heard, if Bob Melvin is back as the manager of the San Francisco Giants in 2026, it is because the Giants want him back. It is not because of a 1-year option. Okay. That is something that they felt like they wanted to do for him at the time. The same way they decided to make that Rafael Devers trade, which was a much bigger investment and a much bigger commitment, but the vibes were right. They felt good about it. And essentially right after that, everything imploded, right? And the train kind of fell off the tracks. But as far as Bob Melvin is concerned, a lot of you have been worried. Hey, Alan, are they going to win too many games and they're going to feel as if they have to keep Bob Melvin? Look, if they win a bunch of games and they decide that Bob Melvin has done enough to keep his job, there's really nothing we can do about that. We can disagree with it. I know I'd probably disagree with it. But as far as the option that the Giants picked up, they do not feel as if that is a specific reason or a commitment where, all right, well, the Giants were kind of in the mix and we gave him this option, right? It is essentially not a part of the conversations that they're having. They are looking at Bob Melvin as far as how this season ends, the whole body of work, but obviously how this season ends and evaluating what to do from there. That is something that is an option, literally, that they picked up, that they feel that they can go through with, but it is not that hard to just move on from it if they don't feel like Bob Melvin is the guy. So a lot of you have been asking me, Alan, what happens if they win too many games? And hey, they picked up the option, or Buster Posey needs to be held accountable for picking up this option. And he did. But from what I've been told, if Bob Melvin is still the coach in 2026, it's not because of the option. It's because they made that decision kind of outside of the option. The option was just something that they felt like they wanted to do at the time, but they don't feel beholden to Bob Melvin because of it. Just wanted to kind of make that clear. But hey, if they do win too many games, that is a reason. And I guess it does make it a bit easier to just say, well, we already have the option, but we could have been in this situation if they didn't pick up the option and he won too many games. They could have just brought him back anyway. So I wanted to speak to that briefly because I see all of you in the comments, and thank you for listening and watching. I really do appreciate it, and downloading and liking and subscribing. We're seeing the growth, and we really are appreciative. So I wanted to speak to that as well. On the other side, let's dissect the Rafi Devers trade. Don't move. More Locked On Giants coming up. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. Also, feeds are included. Know your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download the Game Time app today. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thank you for helping us out. All right, it is time to break down the Devers deal. And look, this was, I don't know if the word is controversial, but it isn't far away from that. Real quick, last night, Rafael Devers 1 for 4 with an RBI that gave the Giants a lead right after the Cubs had tied it up. So he struggled a bit, but he has seemed to show up in certain spots. That's what I'll say. But getting back to the deal as a whole, I'm not sure if controversial is the right word to use, but I think the excitement for Rafael Devers also turned to buyer's remorse when he started scuffling. Then the Giants started scuffling as a whole. And on the other side, I'm sure you've seen it before, the Red Sox started rolling. And even if you search his name right now, you'll still see the record since the trade, even though the Giants won last night, even though the Giants have won 3 in a row. I saw somebody say, haters will say the Red Sox pitching staff got red hot because they moved Devers. And I thought it was funny because that's kind of where we're at with this thing. Is there a parallel between moving Rafael Devers and the Red Sox playing well? Probably, maybe. I mean, there did seem to be a little bit of drama ever since, they brought in Bregman, and there was some back and forth before the season even started. So I understand that. But especially from the Giants' perspective, it's getting a little old. It's getting a little old, okay? And they're having some fun with it. But at the end of the day, this is baseball, and weird stuff happens, right? The Red Sox wanted to move off the contract, so they moved off the contract. You cannot judge a trade for a contract that's a decade long within the first 4 months and decide whether it's a success or not, I would say, unless either team is involved in the World Series. That's what I would say. If the Giants win the World Series this season, or if the Red Sox win the World Series this season, fine. We can call it a success on either side, right? But you can't call it unsuccessful if you're the Giants based on 4 months. And I know it hasn't looked great at times. He's slashing 226, 335, 407 with 10 bombs. But honestly, we've seen stuff like this before. Let's go to another team out there on the East Coast. In 2023, Trea Turner's first year in Philly, he was slumping so bad that a fan orchestrated a standing ovation to cheer him on. And it was such a big deal that Netflix made a documentary on it. They literally made a documentary on it. I didn't watch, but they literally made a documentary on it. Just crazy stuff. And in that situation, he was a free agent who signed an 11-year deal. So you could argue he was more prepared. He knew where he was going. He made the choice, and he still dealt with struggles. He had a good season overall, all in all, because Trea Turner. But now compare that to Devers, right, who was traded fairly out of the blue. Maybe he thought something was coming, but fairly out of the blue, across country. And oh, by the way, he was asked to play a new position immediately. So this isn't me trying to make an excuse or a pass for Rafael Devers in any way. It's just still incredibly early to decide whether something was a good decision or not. Now, as far as this season is concerned, yeah, you would have liked it to propel the Giants in a way that would have resulted in some sort of a nice playoff or postseason run. It's not done yet, but it doesn't look great. But I was never in the mindset personally that the Giants were a World Series team this season. So that's why I'm not heartbroken by this. I want to see flashes. And right now, in the midst of a 3-game winning streak, we're seeing flashes from the Giants. So, and Rafael Devers. It hasn't been great, but we have seen flashes. And again, being at first base, still getting used to it. He's looked pretty good at first base, but this stuff matters. And he said himself he wanted to continue to play defense because I think, as ball players, being a DH is really tough, right? It's not tough because you're not playing defensively, but your whole value is hitting. You can't add anything. And I wouldn't say that first base is a premium position in any way, but you're still out there. You can still make a nice pick. You can still do something that I think can elevate you and make you feel better about your offensive side of the ball. And it helps you in that way. If you strike out or if you don't do something as a DH and you're just sitting there for about 30 to 40 minutes before you can try to help your team again. That's literally it. You're just sitting there. So I understand, right? Rafael Devers wants to play the field because you want to feel like you are helping your team in other ways outside of simply on the offensive end, because sometimes it's not there. Right. Sometimes it's not easy to get it done offensively, and you still want to feel like you're helping your squad and you're helping your team. So as far as everything Rafael Devers, I just think it's still early. Now, look, Buster did go on the broadcast and he did do interviews that said the guys earned this. I want to put them in a position to say, oh, maybe we're ahead of schedule and we can find ourselves in a playoff hunt. That, don't get me wrong, they did trade hoping that this would help out the team this season. But now that hasn't seemed to be the case, and it's not all on Rafael Devers, there are other holes within this roster that we know of and we are very familiar with. But now that hasn't worked out, you still have an elite talent for years and years to come. Is it a possible overpay? Sure. But I don't know. Nowadays, it feels like that's about 60, maybe 70% of these big contracts that are signed anyway. You don't have to do it. Buster decided to do it. I think that you could probably argue that it's the addition of that contract with other contracts that the Giants have. But Rafael Devers specifically, I don't think that we can evaluate as a whole as to whether or not this was a good move or not based on 4 months. Right. That's where I'm at with it. So as the season continues on and Rafael Devers, and I know it was a little kind of duck fart hit to score the run, but that was a 2-out knock in a high leverage situation. You had just given up the lead, the game was tied, and you took the lead there. Chapman comes up, hits a home run after that. So that's the type of stuff that we haven't seen. And that is what you're paying Rafael Devers to do. So regardless of whether this results in the Giants catching the Mets in the wild card or not, these are the flashes that I'm talking about. We talk about the flashes with young players, but we also need to look at certain things with the vets as well and say, all right, they're putting themselves in good spots and they're coming through. That's not what they were doing during this past homestand where they really struggled and for a lot of the All-Star break. So look, maybe I'm searching for crumbs right now, but that's just kind of where we're at. That is where we are at. One more segment with you. When we return, we are discussing the schedule release. Okay, the Giants getting prime time against a prime time opponent, and somebody's coming home apparently. So we'll discuss that, and also we got some injury updates as well. Don't move. One more segment. Locked On Giants coming up. Hey, Locked On Giants fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play app right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime into your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offer vary by users and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. I've been meaning to tell y'all about my favorite new jeanswear brand, Duer. I've been living in their stretch canvas utility jacket, and honestly, they've completely changed the game for me. And the timing couldn't be better. Duer is opening a brand new store in Hayes Valley on August 29th, and let me tell you why it's worth making the trip. I've worn my stretch canvas utility jacket to work, running errands, grabbing dinner with friends, even at sporting events, and they never miss. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, so you get the perfect fit without feeling restricted. The Cool Max technology regulates your temperature and wicks away moisture. Perfect for those unpredictable days in San Francisco. Duer combines classic jeanswear style with the comfort and performance of athletic wear without sacrificing that style. And Duer will be opening a brand new store in Hayes Valley on August 29th. Head on over to 567 Hayes Street and mention my code LOCKEDONSF in store for 15% off your first order, or go to shopduer.com/LockedOnSF. That's DUER for 15% off online. Trust me, once you try them, you'll never want to wear anything else. One more segment with you. The schedule has been released. Also, we have some injury updates that we are going to kick this segment off for you today on this beautiful Wednesday. So before we get to the schedule release, we have some injury updates that I wanted to make sure I relate to all of you. This is from Shayna Rubin of the SF Chronicle on Landon Roop. He got a second opinion and says he's out for 4 weeks with a bone bruise, which essentially has him out the rest of the year. This is what we feared, but honestly, I think it could be a lot worse. Shayna goes on to say that Landon first thought he tore his ACL. He said he felt a stabbing pain in his knee when he fell. So good news in his eyes. As far as Randy Rodriguez, Shayna says, experienced arm soreness after giving up a walk-off home run against the Milwaukee Brewers on Friday. He underwent an MRI on Monday's off day and is planning to meet with doctors about the results. He did that yesterday. So we should be hearing more about that at some point today. That's brutal, obviously, because of what the Giants are attempting to do. Right now, you have to make up 7 games with their closer currently injured, even though you have a hybrid, a version of a closer in Ryan Walker, who did do his thing last night. So those are the injury updates that I wanted to make sure that all of you had. Okay, the schedule is out, and Major League Baseball decided to go with an opening night featuring the Yankees and your San Francisco Giants. Obviously, this is awesome. Okay, and I can't wait. I think I got to find my way out there some way, somehow. I'll be out there a good bit, just covering the Giants, specifically with this new Locked On role. Most of the time I've been doing it in Sacramento, but I do want to make my way out there in San Francisco for all of you now that we're rocking and rolling, doing this every day. So obviously this is awesome, and it shows how much Major League Baseball does think of the Giants as far as a market is concerned. And on top of that, look, man, not to twist it too much, but to the conversation of whether or not this is a good roster, it might not be a championship roster right now, but I'm telling you this: the Giants and Major League Baseball, they're not making this decision if they thought that the Giants had a bad roster, right? They're not doing it. And look, I do love a good conspiracy. Is there something that Major League Baseball knows? Do they think the Giants could have an even better roster heading into next season? You never know. Okay, you never know. But I'm the type of person, I like to think that there are deeper reasons for everything. Okay, so whether it's what the Giants are right now or what they could be, I'm of the mindset that, hey, if Major League Baseball thinks that the Giants are good enough to open up the season, there could be a reason for that. And maybe that reason is they believe the Giants are going to make another move. I'm not going to say who that move is because I don't know. But maybe they feel like the Giants are going to make another move. But ultimately, the Giants are a big brand. They're a big franchise that that Major League Baseball wants to continue to highlight. And of course, you have the Yankees Aaron Judge, I guess, is kind of coming home. And look, we're going to have to do that. Everybody's going to talk about that, just like they did a couple years ago when he never intended on coming home and going to the Giants, but he had to pretend. We all knew he was going back to the Yankees as soon as he kissed that Yankee jersey during the playoffs. So we got to deal with that. But besides that, I am happy for the Giants getting this opportunity. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to kick off the 2026 season. Look, I know it's early. I know it is very, very early, but I had to at least look at one stretch. Y'all know I love to season watch, even when, or, pocket watch, if you will, even when I say we shouldn't do that. And I'm also working really hard to not do that in the current season. So I have to at least scratch the itch looking at the 2026 season. So please allow me to do so. I know it's way too early, but I had to give you at least one stretch that caught my eye. Basically, the whole month of May, here are the series that they have. They do have a series against the Padres. That's, I believe, 3 games. They have a series against the Dodgers, which is 4 games. Besides that, listen to this for the month of May. So 7 games against the Padres and the Dodgers combined. Besides that, they have the Rays, the Pirates, the A's, and the Diamondbacks, and the White Sox, and the Rockies. So we are a ways away from that, but I'm already looking, man. And it's not to say that this season is done, but I'm already feeling pretty good about what the Giants might be able to do in May. And obviously I'm having some fun with it, but you never know what could happen. And this season isn't over. You don't know what could happen in this season. I'm just trying to keep everybody's expectations realistic, but not pessimistic, right? The Giants could go on a hot streak. They could go on a hot streak and not get into the playoffs just because of how far gone they are. So that's just the breaks, and that's just the situation that they put themselves in. And we will have to see how all this shakes out as they got another crack at it tonight against a Cubs team who are going to be hungry after losing that first game to the Giants, where, they're probably not going to catch the Brewers, but they definitely don't want to give up that top spot as far as the wild card is concerned. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @_Styles Files, Styles with an I. Also, be sure to follow our Locked On Giants account as well. We will be back tomorrow breaking down what the Giants are able to do tonight against those Chicago Cubs. It's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Thanks again for listening to Locked On Giants. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.